Hi everyone, my name is Madeline Bennett, and today I will be discussing debate number 5, which is global climate change is or is not a major national security issue. And I will be arguing that global climate change is a major national security issue. So, one major facet of this issue is the framework that you are using to understand national security. And I think critical to understanding climate change as a national security issue is the concept of human security, which is much more all encompassing than a traditional understanding of security. Although I do think that there are even some traditional arguments to be made in favor of climate change being a national security issue, which I'll get to shortly. So, human security focuses less on the security of nation states themselves and more on the security of individuals and communities living within those states. So, it focuses on a wide range of non military dimensions, such as social well being and environmental issues, which is obviously relevant to global climate change. So, with regards to human security, there are really a number of issues that make climate change a national security issue. Water and food security are a big one. Resource scarcity. This obviously threatens the well-beings of individuals as they will increasingly struggle to meet basic needs. A year ago, actually, I spent 3 months living in Chennai, India, during a period where they were undergoing a severe water crisis due to late monsoon rains. Basically, the rains were coming later and later every year due to climate change, which caused major water shortages. I was really privileged being there, and so it wasn't ever something that affected me personally in a way that was dangerous. It was more an inconvenience. But really, there were a lot of people that died that summer from not having access to water in the summer heat with temperatures getting up. I think the heat index would get up to like 120 degrees on a daily basis. So that's not something that most people in the US have to think about, but it was really very eye opening to realize that there are already places in the world that are becoming increasingly uninhabitable due to climate change. I think I remember reading that scientists estimated that, you know, really within 5 to 10 years, that there are probably going to be a lot of parts of India that, because of these water shortages, they weren't going to be habitable already. They were having massive amounts of people moving to different areas because they just couldn't survive where they were currently at. Infectious disease is another one. It's becoming more prevalent due to climate change. This is especially prevalent with tropical diseases, many of which are vector borne. And so the regions in which the vectors for certain diseases can survive widens or changes. And so more and more people are becoming exposed to disease, more and more people where they haven't previously had to deal with these kinds of diseases. Malaria is a big one. Malaria is becoming more and more prevalent even in the southern United States. Dengue fever is another big one as it's becoming more prevalent, surrounding the equator and not just only in those super tropical zones. And I think, COVID really has shown the strain that disease can put on a country, not to mention that infectious disease has been actually on many lists of top national security threats for years now. And so I think there's also some more traditional reasons, even if you aren't looking on an individual basis. For example, resource scarcity, food and water shortages, like I talked about earlier, driven by climate change, can lead to conflict, oftentimes violent conflict over resources. It's no secret that all throughout history, major powers have invaded other countries trying to get a hold of resources, and as those resources become more scarce, those conflicts are probably going to increase as people all over the world are having to look elsewhere to meet their needs. And habitability changes, like those previously discussed, can create what's referred to as climate refugees. And these are people who are forced to move from their home because it's no longer safe to live in due to the effects of climate change. So that's not only obviously a security issue for the countries in which those people are currently living in, but also an issue that countries surrounding, those places or even further away that end up taking in refugees will have to grapple with as well. Refugee crises are obviously big national security issues, like we talked about with the genocide in Myanmar and all the refugees going into Bangladesh, them having to deal with that there. So refugees are obviously always considered a national security issue. So that sort of wraps up the basis of my argument. Thank you for watching.